Hello and welcome to another episode of GM Talks. Today we're gonna look at one of my favorite subjects, playing for Zugzwang. What is Zugzwang? That means when you put your opponent in such a passive position, they cannot move without destroying their own position. It's one of my favorite themes, and of course it's in German. A lot of cool words in chess are in German, and this is definitely one of them. Blitzkrieg is another one, but it's maybe not a chess concept. Anyway, we're gonna see this game from the World Cup in Baku. Berkes from Hungary needed a comeback against his Iranian opponent that had won the first game in nice fashion. Berkes is a very strong technical player, so I like to see his game. He's also a very friendly guy. I like him. And if I was a chess player, I would probably try to be friends with him. But I'm not really a chess player at that same anymore. Anyway, let's get into the game. So we're going to look at the concept of Zugzwang, how to play for Zugzwang, what does it mean, and how strong is this concept. As I said, Berkes is in a must-win situation. He lost the first game. He needs to win this game. Often he plays some knight f3 and some London or Tora attack or something, but here he goes for the main openings, saying, okay, I need to play something else. And Pouria, Darini, or what's his name is an active and pretty strong Iranian player. I was a little bit surprised that his rating is below 2500. He's only 2412. I thought he would be stronger. Berkes has also gone down a lot. He's 2615. He used to sort of simmer around 2700 and is a strong player. I don't know if this means there is chess deflation. I'm also gone down a lot and I lost like 80 points in like a span of 4 years. That 20 points a year, that's a lot. That's a little bit more than I would say that is warranted by my age, but also due to maybe a little bit of inactivity. So I think it's too low. I also think Berkes is still stronger, but it seems that your cognitive functions really do start to get worse as you get older at some point. Also, another thing I noticed is that Hungarians seem to go down a lot, actually, because a guy like Leko used to be world class, is now just a 2650 grandmaster. Guy like Saber Balog has gone completely. He was 2670 or something, and is now 2550, and a lot of players just, well, they're going down. I don't know why, if they sort of fade away too fast. Maybe they should do a little bit more of exercise or something. And Gumesi, he completely quit chess. I haven't seen him for like 15 years or something. So I don't know what will happen to him. Okay, so this is Greenfield. E3 is not the critical line, but of course it's playable. And this is a variation. Of course, if you're a real serious Greenfield player, you could probably take here and say that. But White does have some extra options with the pawns on e3, so he can keep his center. And I think Berkes would like this kind of structure. That he's very strong at maneuvering in this situation, and I think it would be Black would probably suffer here too. But the main move here is to go knight b6. And c5, just going like you always do in the Greenfield for activity, attacking the center. This is what you do in the Greenfield. Also, in the Greenfield is kind of a good opening to play for a draw, because there's a lot of forced lines. And this is all main theory and so far. And here h3 is the new main line. Black is actually sacrificing. White is sacrificing a pawn, but White will get compensation. I think they have sort of decided that it's kind of drawish if we take on d5, but White might get some pressure, and Berkes probably analyzed this with some engines and found some way to get pressure. So instead they play like this, and e6. I don't like that much, but it's maybe it can't be really bad, but it somehow feels a little bit spooky to have to go for this, because white is when you're playing for a win, you are trying to get something to play with, and this pawn is now a big asset. It's a passed pawn far up the field, close to getting to promoted to queen, and you can sometimes make a transaction and get this pawn into being you sacrifices for an attack or something. Also, there is an open file here that might mean something, and the king here may not be completely safe. On the other hand, if black were to win this pawn, then white is totally busted, because he would just be a clear central pawn down without the bishop pair, and black structure is nice. So they both have assets, but I would prefer to have a sort of a more easier to play position for black if playing for a draw. Anyway, this is logical, and of course white is already disturbing black with the dark squares. F6 was not the point, burying the bishop down here, but this is all known, and probably okay. I don't know about bishop c6. It's possible. Anyway, this is white is hanging on to his pawn and hoping, of course, to put some pressure in the center. As maybe if he's lucky, he will push this pawn away. Now I did that again. Anyway, interesting position. Interesting struggle. And the thing is also with the Grünfeld is you have to play actively, and this looks a little bit passively. Maybe if black is really serious, he should play e5 here, I think. And then just accept this pawn is coming, and then relocate the bishop to e6, and saying, okay, I have sort of a fortress, you can't really get in here. He tried to build a different fortress, but that sort of loses the bishop on c6. So here goes the bishop pair. And we can already see that white's structure is kind of nice here. You could not take on c5 because of knight c7, so you have to take back. Of course, if you take with the e-pawn, then rook c1, and it already starts to look strong, and the white squares are weak, so you're a little bit afraid here with black. So taking with the queen makes a lot of sense, going for the ending. But I'm sure Berkes was happy here, because this ending is clearly better for white, and it's the kind of two result ending where either white will win or it will be a draw, and black can more or less never win. First of all, you see that of course the pawn is weak, but this is probably lost. And of course you're the thing you're mostly afraid of is rooks coming in like this, and you'll have serious trouble on this where you have sort of no defense. So this is the big issues, and we start out with white winning the pawn. He just takes the pawn, and you could say that okay, if black can manage to block this bishop and get the later win it, he will have actually a better structure, because this pawn is a double pawn, right? But it looks like white is better. These kind of positions are, on the other hand, rather difficult to play. It demands a very good technique. And already here, white is starting to look for Zugzwang. So we talked about Zugzwang. Zugzwang is when you have to move, but you are not happy you have to move, because you worsen your position by moving. So you're like forced to move. So white start to think about how can he put black in sort of a position where he is not really able to do anything. And this is a typical trick, getting space on the king side. Also, at the moment, white has an extra pawn. That's one advantage, and usually, or you could say the weakness if you use Aljechin's way of explaining this. And usually you need two weaknesses to win. So white is already ready to try and create a second weakness on the other side of the board. And f4, and king here, and rook goes back, and you can already see that you can't take on d6 because of rook e1 and the bishop. So the king here is not really safe. And bishop just goes back, and threatening here at the same time. So black is already in serious trouble here. Still not much going on. This is probably wrong. Probably had to play rook d7. It doesn't, but that sort of, and just make sure he gets the d pawn. He will lose the b pawn, but it's double pawn, and if he can get into a rook ending, he has serious drawing chances. Instead he played rook c6, and after this move, it's not so nice. I think it's starting to look a little bit. The problem is that it will be sort of difficult to win the d pawn. And the rook goes back, and that's a smart move. And here black miscalculated. He had to accept he can't take the pawn, and this is sort of the positional trap that that guys like Berkes will get for you. So in this situation, he has to say, okay, these guys are completely passive. They're not going to do anything. But I have this rook, so it might go down here. And this is the move he has to play. And just accept that, okay, I'm clearly worse, but I have chances. This just loses. And we start with having the king out of the way. So rule number one. Rule number one, put the king on the other color of the bishop. No checks. You don't want any checks. When you have Zugzwangs, you don't want some desperado check to mess it up. So this is the first thing. We see that the pin here is preventing the bishop from moving. So the bishop, the rook goes back. And of course, the pin is, and now you're threatening to win it here. And king goes here. Still, this is not helping really, right? So here goes f5, and it looks really weird to play f5, creating a weak pawn, but it takes away this square, and at the moment this pin is just such a big problem for black. We see that the bishop can't move because of the check. The king can't move because then you lose something. So you can take and you can go back. Still, you can't move any of the pieces except for the rook. And the bishop goes here and can't move anything, right? You can move the rook from, and here goes king comes up. It might go all the way down here and win this pawn. So h5 and rook d5. It's maybe to control the b5 square. I don't know. And rook here, making the position optimal for the pieces. So we have this one is covering this one is covering this one. The king is out of the check's way, and the pin still works on the pawn here. So black can't move the king. He can move the rooks back and forth to some degree. And here comes b4, and suddenly black resigned after, for instance, something like this. You simply have this move. So white is winning the exchange. So let's see here. So after b4, black will get into Zugzwang. He will not be able to move anything. The king will be completely paralyzed on e7, the rook is paralyzed on b6, and then you win the rook. So this is the kind of game I really like. This kind of game that you just look at how white did this, making sure there were no checks, making sure the pin kept working, and then just slowly taking away all the squares for black pieces until he could win something. Total domination. A nice game. They will have to play a playoff today, and it will be interesting to watch. I'm rooting for Berkes. I don't know Darini, so that's free from my part. And I can say that all the players I do know sort of pretty well. The two Svane brothers, Jonas Bjerre and Niels Gradelius, they all went on to get through to the second round. So they don't have to play today and have a free day off in Baku in Azerbaijan. This was DM Talks. Thank you.